Guys, this is Purely Math, and today I'm going to be discussing linear equations. I'm going to be discussing what it is, the parts, and creating it. Okay, I just wanted to put out a quick disclaimer for this video. To be able to understand this, you have to know how to solve one-step equations and plot points on a graph. Okay, so a linear equation is an equation when plotted on a graph makes a straight line and has two variables. What that means is that when you plug in a number to the x value for the equation, whatever you get from that is the y value, and then you plot that on the graph respectively x comma y. So I gave an example here with y equals x. I'll plug in the x value from this table right here. So y equals 1 when you plug in x equals 1. So we'll plot 1 for y right there. And then we'll plug it onto the graph, which is 1 comma 1, so right there. Next, we'll plug in x equals 2, so y would then equal 2. Put it right there on the table. Plot it on the graph, 2 comma 2. And then lastly, we're going to plot 3 for x. So y equals 3, and then it'll be 3 comma 3. We'll plot 3 comma 3 down, and if you connect the dots, you will see that this makes a straight line as said above right here, and this requires two variables for the linear equation. Okay, now we're on to the parts of the equation. There are two parts to the equation, being the slope, which is represented by an m, and the y-intercept, which is represented by a b. As you could see in the last example, y equals x was our equation, and the m value was 1. Since there was nothing else next to the x, it would be a 1. And 0 was our b value, since there was no other part with the x, other term. The slope is the amount of rise over run between 2 points for linear equations. This is modeled with rise over run, being up is with a positive rise and down is with a negative rise. And run, when it has a negative in run, it's left and a positive right. We're going to use the slope of 3 over 2 for 2 comma 1. So 3 is positive, so it's going to be up. So let's go up 3. 1, 2, 3. And that's a positive 2, so right 2, 1, 2. We'll put a point there. And this is the rise. That's the run. And since this is a linear equation, it makes a straight line when you connect. And with slope, you can go the opposite way. And the opposite way would be -3, -2. So if you were to go -3, that'd be down. So 1, 2, and then 3. And next, left 2. 1, 2. That would give you 0, comma, -2. Next, we'll go over to -3, -2. You will use the slope of -1 over 2. So -1 means go down. So let's go down 1. And then +2 means go right. So go right 2. 1, 2. And we'll plot, and since it's a linear equation, we can go the opposite way for the slope. So let's go with 1 over -2, and that will give us up 1, and then left 2. And we can plot, and it should make a straight line. Boom. Finding slope can be found through using 2 points, through the equation y from point 2 minus y from point 1 divided by x from point 2 minus x from point 1. So we're going to be using these examples right here below. So let's do number 1. And so that's the x and that's the y. We'll just put this as point 1 and we'll make this one point 2. It doesn't matter which one you make, point 1 or point 2. So point 2 of y, so 4, and then y point 1, 2, so minus 2, and then we put it over x from point 2, 6, minus 3, which is x point 1. Now, if we solve this out, that should give us 2 over 3. So that is the slope. Now let's do the next one. Make this point 1, make this point 2, and y of point 2 is 5, and y of point 1 is 0, so minus 0. And then x of point 2 is negative 1. And x of point 1 is 0. So we get 5 over negative 1. Now you never have a negative in the denominator, so this would become negative 5 over 1. And since it's over 1, we can just make it negative 5. So we'll just erase that. And it'll just equal negative 5. And you can try this one. Just pause the video real quick. I'm going to just solve it out. So, negative 2 will become 0.1. 4, negative 1 will become 0.2. Let's solve it out. y2 is negative 1. y1 is negative 2. So we'll put that in parentheses. And divided by x2, which is 4, and x1, which is negative 2. So if we solve this out, negative 1 minus negative 2, so that would equal plus plus. So negative 1 plus 2 would give you 1. And then over 4 minus negative 2, so that would be plus plus. And then that'd give you 1 over 6 being the slope. The y-intercept is the point where the linear equation crosses the y-line. This means that right there is the y-intercept with this line, as you see. And usually what the point it will be 0, comma, b. So the b in the y equals mx plus b. It'll be just that right there, put as the y value. For creating equations, you need to find two things, which is the slope and the y-intercept. So I'm going to be doing these two examples below to help you figure that out. So for number 1, we don't have the slope or the y-intercept. So we have to find the slope first. So using y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, we'll do that as 0.1 and that as 0.2. So 8 minus 4 over 4 minus 2 will give us the slope of 4 over 2, which goes down to 2. Now I have the slope, but I don't have the y-intercept. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to use the equation y equals mx plus b to help us out. So y equals the m value, which is 2, and then x plus b. Well, we have a point right here that we can plug into this equation. So we're going to do 8 as the y, 8 equals 2 parentheses the 4 as the x plus b. And we can simplify this to a equals a plus b. Minus a to both sides. And you get 0 equals b. Meaning that the equation for this is y equals to the m value, x plus nothing because b equals 0. Now we're going to do number 2. We already have the y-intercept, so b equals 2. Now we have to find the slope. Wait, we only have one. Actually, no, we have 2 points. Since the y-intercept, it's 0, comma b. B is 2, so a point could be 0, comma 2. So we'll use negative 1, comma 4, and 0, comma 2. We'll make that point 1, make that point 2, and it will be 2 minus 4 over 0 minus negative 1. That will give us the slope of negative 2, and then make those 2 positive, over 1. So it equals negative 2. So now we know our equation is y equals negative 2x plus 2. I have some extra practice for creating equations right here. So on my clock, I'll show the answers, so pause the video if you need to. Here are the answers for the 2 questions. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hit like and subscribe.